The northern region of the state of South Australia is one of the most arid, barren places on the continent. This vast desert plain is dotted with dry salt lake beds and little else.
Except for some cattle stations, small remote communities, and indigenous groups, the area is largely uninhabited due to the harsh conditions.
A pilot was flying a small plane between the towns of Coober Pedy and Marree. On a plateau approximately 60 kilometers west of Marree, he spotted something strange on the desert floor.
He couldn't believe his eyes. Deep, thick lines, several kilometers long, appeared to have been carved into the earth. And when he gets a better look, it seems to be the huge figure of a man.
He has a prominent beard, wears a headband, and has his hair tied back. And his left hand is holding something above his head.
The lines that make up the image are about 70 to 90 meters wide. From top to bottom, it measures 4.2 kilometers, and the total diameter of the figure is an astonishing 28 kilometers.
It's visible from over 5,000 feet in the air. This thing is huge.
When the pilot changed his flight path to get a clearer view, he noticed something else on the figure. What looked like ritualistic scarring on his chest.
Some Aboriginal groups of Australia practice scarification, which is cutting one's body intentionally to produce scars. Beyond aesthetic purposes, they used scarification to mark certain milestones in life: marriage, the birth of a child, the death of a loved one.
Given the hairstyle, the headband, and the chest scarring, the figure might be an Aboriginal man in a hunting stance. Could it be an ancient indigenous geoglyph of some kind?
This is Arabana country. They have native title to over 69,000 square kilometers in the region.
The traditional tribal name of the Arabana is the Ngurabana, which means the land of the mound springs, waterholes that are vital to sustaining life in the dry desert outback.
The Arabana have lived in this area for thousands of years, so it's possible that the geoglyph had always been there, but no one had noticed it before.
The scale of the figure makes it one of the largest geoglyphs in the world, drawing comparisons to Peru's famous Nazca lines.
The Nazca lines are huge line drawings etched in the ground, spanning some 50 square kilometers of the Rio Grande de Nazca River Basin, which is one of the driest places on Earth.
They're thought to be ritual offerings to the gods, asking for rain in a desert environment.
Some of the lines are believed to be around 2,000 years old. So could the geoglyph in Australia be as old as the Nazca lines?
As the Australians continued to explore the site on the ground, they found modern bamboo stakes every 10 meters, marking the outline of the figure.
It can't be ancient. These stakes look like something you'd buy at your local garden center, and their placement is so accurate, it had to be done using GPS coordinates.
People start looking for answers, and it eventually leads them to satellite images of the plateau. There's a picture taken on May 27th, 1998, that shows no sign of the figure. The next available image is from June 28th, and it's clearly visible. So we know it must have been built within that time frame.
And so begins one of Australia's most perplexing mysteries. Who created this mysterious geoglyph in the outback?
For something that big to be built so quickly, heavy machinery must have been used, but nobody in the area saw or heard anything. It's pretty remote, but that's still surprising.
Then a series of cryptic anonymous faxes began arriving at local businesses, alerting them to the figure's presence.
There is a giant drawing of an Aborigine more than 2 miles long. The figure could provide your state of Southern Australia with the type of tourist attraction it is apparently seeking. Aborigines from local reservations could also benefit as guides, artists, etc.
Whoever sent this message must have had intimate knowledge of the figure, as nobody else knew about it except for the pilot and the few residents of the area that he told.
Analysis of the language patterns revealed that much of the phrasing and spelling seemed to be American.
They use the term reservations instead of Aboriginal country, which is the Australian terminology. They also use miles instead of kilometers.
The phrase state of Southern Australia is used, which is wrong. The state is actually called South Australia.
Spurred on by the developing mystery, the Australian government and curious citizens made the journey to get a closer look at the geoglyph, now being called Marree Man after the town nearby. What they found was extraordinary.
It's perfectly proportioned and so well drawn that whoever created it likely drew the figure by hand, then used a computer to overlay the image on a satellite photo of the plateau. They would have had to adjust the scale to the contours of the land, then map out the outline using a handheld GPS device.
GPS technology was very new at the time, and only a few industries would have had access to it. Mining surveyors, academia, the military.
They discovered something puzzling during their examination of the site. A small pit dug near the figure that contained a satellite image of the Marree Man, as well as a small American flag.
Between the flag, the American terminology and the faxes, necessary GPS expertise, it all seems to indicate that Americans were responsible for the Marree Man.
Could the US military have been behind it? They would have had the technology, access to equipment, and they're experts at stealth operations.
An enormous geoglyph appeared in the middle of the Australian outback, leaving local residents wondering who could have been responsible for its creation. The United States Air Force did have a presence in the area at the time, sharing the Joint Defence Facility Noongar with the Australian Defence Force from 1969 to 1999.
Some have theorized that Marree Man was a parting gift to the ADF. But if that's the case, what's up with all the cryptic messages? Wouldn't they have just taken credit?
The US military officially denied any involvement in the creation of the Marree Man. So if it wasn't them, who was it?
Several months later, another clue directed followers and authorities 16,000 kilometers away to England, and a mystery buried near the Cerne Giant in Dorset. The Cerne Giant is a 55-meter-tall geoglyph of a naked man, holding a large club, carved with chalk into a hillside near the village of Cerne Abbas.
We now have an international scavenger hunt on our hands. The note discovered had clues that point towards tourism and support of Indigenous athletes of the Sydney Olympics.
Could this possibly mean that an Indigenous group was behind it?
The land where the Marree Man is situated was part of a contentious title claim dispute, leaving some to speculate that the geoglyph was an attempt to assert ownership of the land by the Arabana.
Though the Marree Man appears to be an Aboriginal hunter, the hairstyle, headband, and chest scarring don't match those of an Arabana man. And if it was a statement of land ownership, wouldn't they want to take credit for it?
Authorities then turned their attention to another clue buried near the Long Man of Wilmington in England.
Similar to the Cerne Giant, the Long Man is a hillside geoglyph. but instead of wielding a club, it's holding long, narrow sticks in each hand.
They are directed to a 1935 book entitled The Red Center by H. Finlayson. It contains a photo of an indigenous hunter, similar to the Marree Man geoglyph.
The author of the book was associated with the Museum of South Australia, but died in 1991, so he couldn't be responsible for the Marree Man. With no other clues, rumours began to circulate about a suspect who was alive and well at the time.
Bardius Goldberg, an eccentric artist who liked to thumb his nose at authority, had a history of creating large-scale artworks on the ground.
He's alleged to have received $10,000 shortly before the Marree Man was discovered. And he told friends that he was working on a big project, but he couldn't reveal any details.
However, Goldberg passed away in 2002 without ever confirming or denying that he was involved in the making of the Marree Man.
It's been almost 25 years since the Marree Man was discovered, and in all that time, not one person has come forward to say that they helped Goldberg or claim the geoglyph's creation for themselves.
In 2012, the Australian government awarded the Arabana people native title of the land containing the Marree Man. By this time, the extreme conditions of the outback had eroded the outline, leaving it barely visible.
Looking for ways to increase tourism in the area, the Arabana joined forces with a local business owner who was asked to organize the restoration project. But even with advances in technology, it's a daunting task.
And then, out of the blue, one final twist in the saga of the Marree Man. An anonymous email is received with a set of highly accurate coordinates outlining the entire figure.
In 2016, armed with this precise data, the team were able to fully restore the Marree Man to its original glory. To this day, tourism in the area continues to flourish, with visitors from far and wide flocking to see the mysterious wonder in the desert.
In the end, we may never know who created it. Some say it was a bored farmer. Others think it was a publicity stunt to drum up tourism. And the more conspiracy-minded even suggest extraterrestrial involvement.
Perhaps the enigma of the Marree Man can be summed up by a quote from one of the original anonymous faxes. "Half the art is mystery, and so enduring let it be."